What's up, guys? So we got a lot of drones here. I've also got the zoom gimbal that we attached to the Mavic 2 Pro today. With that, what I want to answer in this video is really which drone should you get? Is the Mavic Pro original still relevant? Is the Mavic Air really as awesome as I've seen so far? How does the Mavic 2 Pro stack up? Is it justifying the cost that it has over the other two drones here? So with that, let's dive in. Are you ready? You ready?
Woo!
Are you ready? You're not going, sorry. Next time. All right, so the bags are packed. We're about to head about an hour and a half northwest of here. Go up to a lake. The lake itself looks pretty cool. It's kind of got an island in the middle of it. It's a complete approved drone zone, so I can just fly around and not really worry about if any airplanes, helicopters, whatever are around like you do here in Santa Monica. I found you can actually fly here as long as you get approval and you call the control tower and let them know. So we do have some footage from that as well, but today's gonna be an in-depth head-to-head. We're gonna stack these up against one another and do kind of a mini vlog as we travel up to the lake. So I'll see you guys up there. All right, so we've been driving about an hour now. It looks like we've got about 28 minutes left. We're almost there. We're gonna open up the drones, get some awesome footage, but still driving. So I'll see you guys there. All right, so we just stopped at what I think is gonna be our first filming spot. So we're gonna get some footage of this mountain behind me here. We're gonna try to do some cool panoramas and just see overall footage, how it starts to look. And then after that, we're gonna head down to the lake. So see you guys there. I keep saying ready to go and then disconnected.
Huh.
So let me stop right here. So what happened, and I keep seeing this happen now, is for whatever reason, I'm using the Galaxy S10 Plus. Either the controller will tell me it has magnetic interference when the app doesn't let me connect at all, or what'll happen is the remote controller actually stays connected even though the app tells me it's disconnected. I turn it on, I start the app, it gives me the go fly button for a few seconds, maximum 2-3 seconds, and then it goes back into a disconnected state on the app itself. I found now every time, I figured out after this video, actually later in the day when I was flying, turning your phone on airplane mode fixes all of this. Now, I don't know what it is. I use a Garmin watch, which is constantly connected on Bluetooth to my phone. I've read that could be the culprit. I've read many different scenarios, but ultimately, just be aware if you ever have issues flying, make sure to turn your phone into airplane mode, restart your remote controller at that point, and everything should be flawless. You know, it was really interesting. Coming from the Mavic Pro originally, I was always blown away by the footage this thing produced. Really good quality, it's a small form factor, it flies well, but then when you start to look at something like the Air even, where you get 100 megabits per second versus the 60 on the original Mavic, you can really notice this in the detailed areas of your shots. So anymore, it is start to become a little bit more compelling when you look at something like the Air, considering it's actually a cheaper price point or maybe around the same depending on the deals you get on the Pro because it's so old. When you really want image quality, the Air starts to edge things out. So even though I still stand behind this being a great drone overall, I do think there's probably more compelling reasons unless your focus is on remote control connectivity, considering this has OcuSync. So this is Wi-Fi only. It doesn't have OcuSync. This has OcuSync 2.0, which is just leaps and bounds above kind of either of these two connectivity-wise. It's very clear the Mavic 2 Pros with Hasselblad is going to have great image quality. It really comes down to what are your use cases. We swap on the zoom gimbal and you can actually see the footage is still really good. And for me, in terms of fun, in terms of creativity, in terms of the shots you can achieve out of that zoom lens, it gives you so much more room. When you have a fixed lens, it's very common on a drone, but you've got to physically fly around to get any type of parallax effect, any type of really new scene. And you really end up with all these kind of slow panning motions, takeoffs, landings, overheads, whatever you're doing. Where you can still do those with the zoom lens, yeah, the image quality is not as good as 10-bit. You're not going to be able to color grade it as good, but it's just more fun. It lets you get more dynamic shots. The parallax you can get out of it is much greater. This zoom lens is a lot of fun. The fact that you can swap these so darn easily too, you guys can see it right now. All right, so for those of you that were interested in what the camera swap looks like between this, we've got the Hasselblad on here. We got some footage with that. We're gonna swap on the zoom camera right now. It takes less than 5 minutes. It's super easy. So we'll do a quick time lapse here as I'm changing it, but you guys can see how it's actually done in the field. So we just attached the ribbon. Now it's all hooked up electronically. We'll put the cover on and it's ready to roll. So easy to swap in the field. I would almost tell everyone, if you're looking for a professional drone, go with the Mavic 2 Pro, get it with the Pro on here, because ultimately DJI has said if you have their refresh program, they will cover the gimbal that came with it. Be very clear, the zoom is not going to be covered because I bought this, even though it was an authorized dealer. It's not going to be covered if anything happens when you're flying with it if you have the refresh program. Given the very nature that this is a more expensive camera, more expensive lens, I would suggest always buy the Mavic 2 Pro, get the official warranty on that, but then still get the zoom gimbal. It's anywhere from $300 to $400 through authorized resellers. And it's so freaking easy to swap. And now you have something you can literally change in the field, whether you care about image quality, dynamic range, or whether you want the zoom capability. Maybe in a future model to make them actually plug and play, and you could simply just latch it in, lock the gimbal, and then if you want to swap, boom, I need a different focal length. That would be an amazing feature in a future drone from DJI, if you guys are listening. All right, so let's run through these now that we've taken a look at the footage. You guys know what they're gonna look like, where each one still applies in today's world, June 2019, essentially. So if you can get a good deal on the original Mavic Pro, it's still a great drone. Really, the main reasons I'm gonna say you go with one of these over the other is, do you really care about remote control connectivity? Do you need OcuSync? If so, go with the Pro and try to find it on a good discount. There's a lot of deals, a lot of bundles that you can find right now. It's gonna have good connectivity, the controller works well. However, when you look at the size, you look at the image quality, the Air's really gonna win there. So if you need something around the same price point, looking online today, so that's kind of my reference point as to what you're gonna spend, it's between $700 or $800 on kind of both of these. I start to lean towards the Air. If you're not flying in urban environments, not heavily crowded environments where you're gonna have signal interference, the Air is an amazing drone. It's so tiny, so compact, easy to pack up. It comes with a nice case. The controller has the little, let me get this. The controller has the joysticks that are gonna take off, which does add that extra little bit of portability to them. It's just overall been a really fun drone to fly. Now, it's not gonna handle wind, again, signal interference. That's where the Pro is really gonna shine over this. But 8 times out of 10, you should probably go with the Air depending on your use cases. So that leaves us with the Mavic 2 Pro, as well as the Zoom. If I was gonna only get one, if I could only buy one drone, I almost think I would go with the Zoom at this point instead of the Pro 2. But knowing how easy these are to swap, every day I'm gonna choose to say, hey, if you can afford it, go for this and buy both gimbals. Have them at your disposal. That being said, if you don't really care about editing your footage in post, dynamic range isn't gonna matter. You're not gonna do really anything with the aperture itself because this does have a variable aperture on it. Go with the Air. The Air's still a good fit there, but if you wanna know you're gonna have a great experience if it's windy out, crowded areas, signal's gonna be so good on this thing with OcuSync 2. The range is amazing. It flies fast, it flies quickly. You get things like tripod mode where you can have very controlled movements with the drone, time lapse, hyperlapse, all these different features that you can do on the Mavic 2. This really shines, and it's a great drone if you wanna spend $1,500. If you want to spend $1,300, you want to try to land somewhere between these two, that's where the Zoom is a lot of fun. If you don't want to have to buy the gimbal, I heavily recommend the Zoom as well. All right, so the other thing I wanted to find out in this video, and I only had ND filters for the Air and the Pro with Hasselblad, I wanted to know how much does an ND filter really affect your shots? And I think ultimately in the future, I may adjust these a bit differently, but really a lot. All right, so we just slapped on an ND filter. Let's get some more footage and see how much of a difference the ND filter actually makes. I got the ND filters with polarization because that's what I really wanted, was to get a lot of blues out of the sky to cut off reflection on the water. Now, when we were shooting these examples, you can see it completely cut out the reflection on the water. You can almost see through it. Because it was kind of this greenish, murky water, I don't think it was the most attractive. I almost wish I polarized the sky a little bit differently, but it definitely works, and it makes a huge impact on the overall shot quality, how much you can edit it later on. If there's a situation where you really want to cut out on reflection, heavily recommend using these polarizers. I think they've worked great in these scenarios. They all kind of have their niche fits. Depends how much you want to spend and what your use cases are. I'm finding for my use cases, I most likely would take either the Air if I need that extra space saving portability, but if I know I'm gonna care about the signal or I wanna do something a little more dynamic, I'm gonna grab this every time, and I'm probably gonna throw the zoom gimbal on it. If it's a scenery where I really wanna get a lot of range, a lot of beauty, a lot of detail, then every time the Hasselblad's gonna be on here. That's where I stand. What do you guys think? Which drone best fits your needs? Let me know. If you have any questions on any of these, post them in the comments below. I do want to sell my Pro, $500. You guys want it, you get a spare battery, controller, everything works great. If you haven't subscribed already, definitely consider it. And as always, it's been a pleasure. See you next time.